Welcome to PH Insight. Know the force behind the flag. Whether it's warships, fighter jets, or the next big defense move, if it matters to Philippine security, it's here. In recent years, the Philippine military has emerged from decades of underinvestment to embark on one of its most ambitious modernization efforts in history. A newly conducted national poll has now shown that most Filipinos support this drive to strengthen the armed forces of the Philippines, AFP, and the Philippine Coast Guard, PCG. For defense analysts, policymakers, and ordinary citizens alike, this is more than just an encouraging statistic. It is a powerful reminder that public sentiment is aligned with the urgent need to bolster national security. The Philippines sits at the heart of Southeast Asia, a region increasingly defined by intensifying great power rivalry, particularly between China and the United States. Nowhere is this more visible than in the contested waters of the West Philippine Sea, where China has dramatically expanded its presence over the last decade, constructing artificial islands and deploying Coast Guard vessels and maritime militias. In this context, the Philippines faces a complex security environment that is no longer theoretical. Incidents such as repeated water cannon attacks on Philippine resupply missions to Ayungin Shoal, harassment of Filipino fishermen, and China's expansive maritime claims have underlined the vulnerability of the country's territorial integrity. These challenges require a modern, capable, and well-funded defense establishment, not just to deter aggression but to uphold the country's sovereign rights and protect its economic interests. The AFP and PCG modernization programs are far more than symbolic gestures. They aim to reverse decades of equipment obsolescence and to build a credible defense posture. The AFP Modernization Act, originally enacted in 1995 and extended under several administrations, seeks to transform the military into a force capable of addressing both external and internal threats. Recent acquisitions include multi-role frigates like the BRP Jose Rizal, FF-150, and BRP Antonio Luna, FF-151, FA-50 light combat aircraft, and sophisticated air defense and coastal monitoring systems. The Philippine Coast Guard, meanwhile, has expanded its fleet with new multi-role response vessels from Japan, offshore patrol vessels from France, and smaller fast patrol boats to safeguard the country's vast maritime domain. Yet despite these advances, significant capability gaps remain. For instance, the Philippines still lacks a fully operational submarine force, long-range missile systems, and robust air defense networks, all of which are considered essential in modern naval and air warfare. In addition, many of the country's older ships and aircraft need replacement or upgrades to stay relevant against contemporary threats. The recent poll showing that most Filipinos back military and Coast Guard modernization sends an important message: the public understands the stakes. Historically, large defense budgets have often faced criticism, with arguments suggesting that the funds could be better spent on education, healthcare, or social services. However, the poll suggests that a growing number of citizens recognize that national security underpins all other aspects of national life. Without secure maritime borders, for example, the Philippines could lose billions in natural resources, from oil and gas reserves to rich fishing grounds, directly affecting economic growth and food security. This public support provides the Marcos administration and the Department of National Defense with a rare opportunity to advocate for increased funding and a faster modernization timeline without fear of backlash. It is a chance to make the case to lawmakers and the public alike that investing in defense is not a luxury, but a necessity in today's volatile world. For modernization to succeed, political will is critical. Congress plays a central role in approving the annual budgets that determine how quickly modernization projects can proceed. Lawmakers should see the current geopolitical climate for what it is: a wake-up call. Blocking or delaying funding now would only widen the capability gap, potentially leaving the country exposed in a crisis. Furthermore, modernization spending has positive spillover effects. Local defense manufacturing, shipbuilding, and maintenance contracts can create jobs and develop new technical expertise within the country, contributing to national industrial growth alongside military strength. Some voices occasionally suggest that the Philippines could remain neutral in the growing tension between major powers. But the reality is far more complicated. The country's strategic location, treaty obligations, and ongoing territorial disputes mean it is unlikely to avoid involvement if a large-scale conflict erupts in the region. Moreover, the very prospect of neutrality becomes meaningless if the country lacks the capability to defend itself. As analysts often point out, true neutrality requires credible self-defense forces to prevent any foreign power from violating sovereignty with impunity. While there is strong momentum, modernization still faces real obstacles: bureaucratic delays, complex procurement processes, and the ever-present challenge of balancing defense spending with other national priorities. To keep modernization on track, several steps are critical: accelerate procurement timelines and reduce red tape. Prioritize big-ticket acquisitions that address the most significant capability gaps. Enhance partnerships with allies to secure cost-effective technology transfers and joint training. Develop local defense industries to reduce dependency on foreign suppliers in the long term. Public support is not static, it must be sustained through transparent communication about how funds are used and what strategic benefits the country gains. Highlighting concrete achievements, such as new ships patrolling Philippine waters or aircraft enhancing disaster response, helps keep public confidence high. At its core, the modernization of the AFP and PCG is about ensuring that the Philippines can protect what is rightfully its own: its people, territory, and resources. The support shown by Filipinos reflects a shared understanding of this mission. In a world where geopolitical risks are rising, now is not the time to slow down. Instead, it is a moment to act boldly, to build a defense capability that is not just a shield in times of crisis, but a cornerstone of a secure and prosperous future. In a recent poll conducted, the results showed that most Filipinos support the modernization of the Armed Forces of the Philippines, AFP, and the Philippine Coast Guard, PCG. The Marcos administration and the Department of National Defense should use this window of opportunity to justify the increased funding and faster phase of the AFP and PCG modernization programs without fear of backlash from the general Filipino public. Lawmakers should understand also that they should not block any funding requirements considering the current geopolitical situation, especially of the Philippines, which is right at the doorstep of any potential future global conflict. As already explained before, the Philippines cannot be neutral, as the potential loss of its territory and negative effects on its core national interests are among those potential reasons for a conflict to happen.